Y'all, I am so incredibly excited for this conversation. Let's just do a little bit of a wave or some jazz hands or whatever feels good to you right now on a Monday morning or afternoon or wherever you are in the world. So, I get to be here with three of some of my favorite humans in the whole entire planet who I've got to coach alongside with. I think for like 3 years at reInvent. I've known all of you for at least 4 years plus. And you all are incredible human beings who are so good at your job. And so, what we're going to do here is I'm going to, in a second, pass the baton to each of you to just do a brief introduction about who you are, how you got into the work that you're doing, coaching technically brained humans who we all love. But before that, what I want to do is welcome everyone who is watching by saying this is an interactive interview. I'm going to be here, yes, moderating this panel, but you, the audience, get to ask questions specifically to each of us. If you have one that comes up throughout the conversation, this is the Speakers Lounge. I do it once a month, the first Monday of every month at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And my goal is to bring you visionary insights on how you can be better, more unforgettable speakers. So, with that said, let's dive in. I'm going to pass that baton first to Tamrah. Why don't you go ahead and do a quick intro?
Greetings, everyone. I am Tamrah Barber. I'm an executive and orals coach, and it's been an interesting journey for me. I am, of course, a lover of math and science, thus why I am in the tech field and industry. And I would say I positioned and strategically designed my career path, knowing exactly what my purpose is in this world, which is to elevate people, to cultivate the greatness already within. That I know is the reason why I'm here on this planet. And orals coaching speakers, getting them ready for high stakes communications. That is my niche, making sure that we win big deals. So, of course, my theme song, all I do is win, 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 no matter what. That is my theme song.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. And what I love about you too is that you stand out, girl. Whenever we're at an event, like you know how to dress, you know how to walk into a room. You are full of the bling, and I love it. I love it. And you do walk your talk. It's quite beautiful. Thank you. And thanks for being here with us today. Blaine, how about for you, my friend?
Absolutely. I love talking journeys. First of all, before I talk my journey, I want to welcome everyone here watching us. I just got a shout out here for Tomas Patak, a friend of mine from the Deep Racer community, which is one of the many things I've had a chance to be a part of. The journeys have been amazing. I started my undergraduate career studying mathematics and theater simultaneously, dual major. Did my graduate work in computer science, always heading towards this ability of directing, coaching, leading people forward. I have been an educator, I have been a product manager. Most recently at AWS, I worked on the keynote team, a chance to actually craft the messages that are being delivered all around the world for AWS. Just to address the elephant in the room, I'm no longer with AWS. Some of you may have heard there was a round of layoffs. This happens in business. We were impacted by it, but that doesn't stop me from being who I am, and I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. Thanks, Blaine, for being here. I appreciate you so much. Doris, how about for you, my friend?
Yes, I am so excited to be here with all the wonderful coaches that we've all worked together. Tamrah, when you were talking about it, sometimes we'd be coaching, she'd be right next door, and I'm like, Tamrah, come over. I need a little help on this one. And she'd come in with a great pep talk. My name's Doris McNair. I'm also a speaker coach. My background is actually in journalism. So I spent about 20 years working for ABC News affiliates. My favorite thing is storytelling. I love finding the human element in any story, no matter how complicated, no matter how boring it might seem on the surface, there's always a deeper connection to community in every element of that. And that's really what I loved about journalism. And that's kind of what I carry over into the work with speakers today, with technical speakers. And loved working alongside Meredith and Tamrah and Blaine especially. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Blaine because He is one of those people who lifts everybody up, including women and especially women. And he's done it for all three of us.
Yes.
And I have a lot
Absolutely.
of gratitude and blessings for that. So thanks for having us here, Meredith. It's going to be a great time.
Yeah, of course. And thank you all for taking the time to be here. And to give people a little context as well, I also come from a theater background. Also, my purpose, I love that you brought that up, Tamrah, is that I want to help elevate other people's voices, because I do strongly feel that the more we can share stories, which I love that you brought that up, Doris, the more we have an opportunity to share the world, save the world, essentially, because we are able to see each other's commonalities. And I do believe that we have more in common than we do not in common. So thank you all for being here. Okay, so we're going to dive in. We're going to dig in here. And again, if you're watching and you have questions for us, please go ahead and put those in the chat or in the comments, and we'll do our best to answer those questions for you, because we're here to support you. That's what this is all about. All right, so my first question is, as technical coaches for people who get to go on a stage or show up virtually, what is it that you find is the most common challenge for technical speakers? And let's go ahead and start with Tamrah. What do you think is the most common challenge for speakers?
I would say what I've heard from many speakers is the fear of judgment. And it gets in the way, because whenever you are focused on you, are they judging me? Am I doing it right? Then you're not focused on your audience. And so what I always share with people is, when in doubt, focus out. And the moment that you start thinking about you, then you're no longer being customer centric. You're being me centric. And quickly shift that and start focusing on the purpose and why you're there, and what is your intention, and what is the impact that you want to make. When you zone in and focus on that, then all those other thoughts begin to get smaller. And what's really important is your audience and your intention for that audience.
Beautiful. Thank you. That's gold right there. So if you are watching right now and you're somebody who is terrified of the judgment, but you are now going to intentionally make it more about the audience and how you can be in service of them, go ahead and give me a thumbs up in the comments. Give me a thumbs up to say, I'm going to give that a try. All right, Doris.
Do you mind if I actually jump in here? Because I want to layer right on top of what Tamrah said.
Oh, God,
because wow.
Layer me, yes.
And I think all four of us will agree. All four of us have done coaching at high technical levels. Rarely, almost never, do we have someone come in that doesn't know their tech. That's not the problem.
No.
And yet what we will often uncover is that the people are terrified that they don't have the right to be on stage, that someone else should be there. You know, this is the imposter syndrome. It's something that's been discussed forever. And yet most humans, myself, believe that we are the only ones that have somehow snuck through the gates and all the keepers, and we are now on stage and in front of someone, and we shouldn't be the one there. And whether we admit that that's what we're feeling or we're just scared, which is what it falls under, it's this feeling that you don't deserve to be there. And yet, let me tell you that we don't uncover people that shouldn't be the ones presenting. You got to go to the conference. You got to go to the sales pitch because it's your time. And being able to own that is just absolutely amazing. And seeing people with confidence, people like Anarka and Debro. Hey, folks, you're shouting out to me. I'm going to shout out back to you all. These are people that I respect because they can walk into a room and just own it. That's what we love to do as speaker coaches. That's what I love to do.
I really appreciate that. Well, you did something to put that into action. You're in that room for a reason. So own that. And for whatever reason, someone saw you and thought you've got to get on that stage because you did something.
Yeah.
Even
as a backup, even if you weren't the listed person, you were called in to sub out. You still were called in.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, there's so many stories about the person who was the understudy or the sub or whatever that ended up going to great places because they got that opportunity.
I tell
Right?
people wherever your feet land, that's exactly where you're supposed to be.
Amen.
Yeah,
Period.
I
Amen.
agree.
Period.
Very
Yeah.
Buckaroo Banzai.
Doris, how about for you, my friend?
I will echo the comments. You're not there by accident. I always tell people that this is not an accident. You earned your place here, so you need to take it. And I agree with both of you. The audience first is the key. Whenever I was making decisions, if I was working in broadcast TV, a lot of hard decisions you have to make. I would always stop the team and say, what is best for the audience? That always makes your decision a lot easier because you can kind of get in your head with a bunch of things. What should I do? What should I say? How should I say it? Think about your audience, the person in the seat. What do they need out of this? What is the best decision you can make for your audience? It takes away all of that noise that you're hearing, and it really focuses you on the purpose, which is to connect, which is to communicate clearly. So I would say those things. And, remembering that you're there for a reason. So take that moment, take that opportunity, don't waste it with the nerves, that sort of thing. Just take that moment to really connect with that audience.
Beautiful. Yeah, the connection piece. Oftentimes I feel technical people are very much in their heads, rightfully so. But how is it that we can start speaking from heart? Because that knowledge is also passion, and passion to me is heart. So that connection piece, Doris, I think is key. We do have a question here. So from Nasheen, for technical teams, is communication a soft skill or a delivery skill? Should it be part of what done means? I see, Blaine, you're doing this. You're doing the knuckles. I think we need to give this question to you first.
So this is there's so much to unpack in this simple question. The idea of communication becomes the foundation of everything we do. If we didn't need this human to human communication, then documentation would be enough. And we all know documentation is never enough, not for the deeper level of what we're doing. For consumer electronics, sure, we can give them a manual, they can open the box, they can put plugs in and it works. That's not the level we are working at here. So being able to communicate, it is a soft skill in that it improves the way that people relate to us. But without that communication, you simply become verbal documentation.
Mhm.
And we've established that's not good enough.
It is not. Agreed. Do you want to add to that, Doris or Tamara? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think, when you ask, is it a soft skill? Is it not? I think it's necessary. It's crucial. It's all of the above. And I think it's one of those things where we work with so many brilliant minds, but if you can't get out of your head and communicate those thoughts, those ideas clearly, you're limited in what you can do. And so you got to break through that and really focus on it. And I think as we rely on our tech more, we really need to make sure that our communication skills are up to par with where our technical skills are. Because again, if we can't communicate it, we're going to be stopped right there.
Yeah.
I'd like to tackle the last part of that second question. Should it be part of what done means? Let me just say, as a speaker, you're never done. You're never done.
No.
Becoming a great speaker is a journey. One of my mentors, Les Brown, he has been in the industry for 50 plus years.
Mhm.
And he still looks at upcoming speakers and is always like, okay, I'm coming for you. I am coming for you. He's always sharpening his skills. So when I look at that, I say to myself, if he's not done, how can I be done? How can I be done? There's no such thing as done. It is something that it becomes a lifestyle. It's like going to the gym.
Mhm.
You go to the gym, you'll work out, you might get in shape, but the moment you stop going to the gym, guess what? It's coming all back.
Serena Williams has a tennis coach and she's retired.
Yeah, and I think so let's talk about that a little bit here, right? Because we need to put If you want to be a good speaker, if you want to be somebody that's really good at communicating your technical ideas, it is a practice. It definitely is a practice. It's not a one and done. Actors also have coaches, they have directors, they go to classes, they take their dance classes, their vocal training. It's similar. It's very similar. And so I think there's a lot of, yes, we can give you a framework. We can do that. We can help you. But I will say you got to get up there and test it out, and you're going to learn something. And on top of that, you're changing. You're changing. Your ideas about your products change. You change as a human being. The way you show up changes. We're constantly evolving as human beings. So I feel like that's a part of it too. And that's why Les Brown's probably also constantly practicing, because he sees that he's evolving and changing as the world is also changing.
Absolutely.
I want to serve one over to Doris, and that's the comments that Tomas just put on there, where we talk about communication and the understanding that one person, if you're part of an organization, most of us are, that a single person cannot come up with a comm strategy and execute it by themselves. There's always a bigger picture. Doris, you've always been kind of a master of that big picture, getting everyone onto a unified storytelling motion. What's been your action there?
Yeah, I think it always starts with the human element. So when I was in news, you pitched a story, and you couldn't pitch a story unless you had what we called a character, which really is the human person. So if you're covering a highly technical story, if it's something that is complicated, we would always say, great, who's your person? So please remember that when you're thinking about how you're going to communicate these ideas, because it all comes back to how it affects us. Who may benefit from this? Who may have more time to innovate? What is it about? So thinking about it from a high level and how it really connects to change, and that change is always about people. So that really is about getting on the same page with the other speakers you work with or the teams that you're working with, but it all comes back to people.
I love that. I always like to say you're speaking to the person in the room who has the least amount of knowledge, or who's the decision maker, and oftentimes it's the same person. And also just always keep in mind the end user, because I think sometimes we get so customer focused, but that customer also has their customer in mind, and that customer is typically the end user. So that person is so important to have in mind. And so we cannot forget the human elements at all. And those are the stories is where it's at.
I hear this a lot. People, I don't have any stories. I don't have stories.
Yeah.
Everybody has stories. Put a piece of paper or story bank, start writing things down, and look for the emotion. If something surprised you, you thought something wasn't going to happen, you encountered a team and you found a solution that was like out of the blue, or, look for those things. It doesn't always have to be so dramatic where it makes you cry or what, just even surprise, or I just didn't see that coming. Write it down, keep those notes, because a lot of times when you come back to it, that's going to be some sort of profound learning that you can share with others in your presentations.
Beautiful. So this is great for the next question then, is like, how would you coach somebody from not just delivering a talk that is a data dump or an information overload? What would you say to that person if they walked into your room right now and you were coaching them and it was just nothing but an information overload or data dump? How would you craft that for them? Let's go, Tamrah.
The first question I would ask, if I know that there's a lot of data to be communicated, is who's the audience?
Mm-hmm.
And what is your intention for that audience? And if I really wanted them to take this data dump and turn it into something memorable and impactful, I would go down the path of, what do you want your audience to feel? What do you want them to experience as they're listening to you speak? And then go from there. And it's different for every audience. It just depends. It could be an audience of scientists and they love data. And to them, that is tingly and ooh. But then it could be a bunch of salespeople, and to salespeople, data not so much. High-level executives, data a little bit, but they also want that visionary flair to it as well. So it depends on who the audience is And then what do you want them to feel? What do you want them to experience? And do you want them to remember you? And to Doris's point, storytelling is the best mechanism. If you want someone to remember a data point, encapsulate it in a story.
Yep.
That's how you get them to remember. Just look at our cultures. The reason why we remember everything is because our grandparents and our ancestors told stories that have transcended time.
And you want to make sure that your audience can remember that story and pass it. The whole point is to get them to leave the room and to continue talking about you. Unpacking the suitcase.
The reason why it's important, because I coach people when we're competing for high stake deals. The person that you're talking to may not be the decision maker, but you want them to be able to take that story to the decision maker and tell it in a way that is meaningful.
Make it easy for them.
Exactly. You got to make it easy for them to carry that story forward.
Okay, we have a special guest that's joining. It's a surprise. I'm bringing her into the room.
I've never popped out of a cake. I feel like I'm popping out of a cake. This is a dream for me.
Best Groundhog Day ever.
Oh,
amazing, Anna. Welcome. It's good to see your face. So we all got to coach together for several years, and so this is also a nice little reunion for all of us. I didn't tell the other three that she was going to be here, so.
And everyone looks so lovely and just so beautiful. I faces. So good. Hi.
Oh, so good to see you. Do you want to do a quick little introduction?
Oh, hi everyone. I'm Anna. I've just noticed everyone's got these amazing backgrounds, and here I am with the dreaded light behind me, which is the worst thing you can do. You've got to have it in front of you. Sorry, I know you'll be so disappointed. But I worked with everyone on the call. I worked with these beautiful people when I was at AWS, and I'm now at Accenture as a public speaking coach and orals coach. And obviously the views today are my own, just to say. And it's very lovely to be here with you all.
So good to have you here too.
What have I missed? What's been going on? What's the public speaking gossip? Come on.
Oh, wait a minute. I think we have another special guest.
What? No.
This is the squad right here. This is the squad. I was waiting for you to show up.
You knew.
Like, there's one more. Where is she?
And I just want you to say, hey, yo.
I just had to have the little reunion. I mean, I just had to. It was just, come on. So Anna just did a little introduction. Allison, why don't you quickly introduce yourself, and then we'll get back on track here to help out our audience.
Hi, everyone. Well, hi, all beautiful people watching. I'm Allison Pierce. I'm another speaker coach along with these inspiring people in front of me. So hello, and hello, my
group hug. So
okay, continue.
So we were talking about technical talks. There's also another question here that I'm going to go ahead and ask. So this is Dom. Hi, Dom. So good to see you, and thanks for the question. Is there a moment in a technical talk where connection matters more than content? And how do you coach speakers to recognize it? Ooh, good questions. Who wants to take that one on? Anybody? You're like, got it. Tamrah, take us home.
This is Tamrah.
This is Tamrah.
Tamrah.
I will open the case.
Yes.
First of all, connection always matters with your audience. If you're not connected, you won't even recognize that moment where you need to step out of the data and into their hearts and souls. Mm-hmm. So you've got to be able to be so aware, and it's an interesting dynamic, because when you're on that stage and you're speaking to your audience, there's an energy exchange that's happening. Yeah. And if you are not present to it, then you become a talking head. Mm-hmm. When you're present to it, you're able to flow with your audience, which is why it's so important to speak within your zone of genius so that you can dance. Now, if you're not there yet and you're presenting content that you're not as familiar with, you're going to have a slight limitation. But once you know your content and it becomes part of who you are, my coach used to say, practice until you become the practice. Then once you're at that point, you can dance with your audience and become aware of what is needed, paying attention to expressions and movement and energy. So it's a deeper layer of presence that is required to know when. It's challenging to coach people on. It's something that you have to coach in the moment. I can't tell you how to do this, but I can stand alongside of you and coach you through it and coach you how to recognize when.
Mm-hmm.
Some questions might be asked. There might be a pause. There might be a point that you really want to land within your talk that you know you're going to have to step out of character for a moment and just be real, and then step back into character as you're delivering, because this is acting, everyone, when you're speaking, which is why Meredith is amazing at this. Improv queen. That's another. Meredith, you have to talk to them about the importance of improv in all of this public speaking. I hope that comes up at some point today. But
Yeah.
presence, I would say, is really key, and knowing how to read a room. That's what we say when you want to know how to read a room, then you'll start recognizing those moments where you get to drop from your head into your heart, create a real connection with your audience. And when you do that, they'll never forget you.
They won't forget you. Yep. They're not going to come up to you afterwards and say, nice presentation. Thank you for the presentation. They'll have actually something of substance to say back to you. That's when you know.
That part.
That
right.
part. Yep. Yep. It looked like, Blaine, you had something you wanted to add to that.
I'm biting my tongue. I totally want to mansplain something here about the difference between video recorded content, broadcast streamed content, and an interactive stage or platform like Twitch. Without indicting anybody, I imagine all of us have watched technical Twitch streams where the broadcaster had no idea there was an audience actively commenting on things. They end up treating it like they're alone in a TV studio with no feedback whatsoever. There is a time where we do asynchronous broadcast. Debro's talking about the Deep Racer TV series back in 2019. That was brilliant. We didn't have a live audience that we were performing in front of. We got to script every moment. But when you're doing live theater, when you're doing live tech presentation, that medium exists for a purpose. And as Tamrah was saying, it's that reaction the audience gets you. And this is where knowing your content, knowing the normal objections people have to your process, to what you're about to say, and reading off of that. One of my favorite things I used to do as a technical presenter, when I had an audience that was not communicating with me because they were tired, they didn't have enough caffeine, it was 8 a.m. on a Thursday on a 5-day conference, whatever it was, I would get to the checkpoint where I would expect to start seeing interaction and not get it. And I would just stop and say, now, some of you should have been interrupting me and saying, but Blaine, how am I going to solve this problem where I don't have the right reflex joiners? Well,
Talks like that.
you didn't ask me that. Let me tell you about reflex joiners. And I start feeding the dialogue for them, and they're going, yeah, what about reflex joiners? That's right. Let's start talking about this. And you start to drive that at least visual interaction. And it's even harder in live keynotes where you are blinded by lights. You cannot see the audience. You certainly can't take questions in a keynote, but you still need that interactive moment.
Blaine, hold on. Can we just talk to the lighting people for a moment? I despise stepping on stage and not being able to see the eyes of the people that I'm talking to.
Need that. You need that.
I literally have had to step off the stage and stand in the front so
No, you
I can
have to
actually
own your
connect with
light. You have to do that. Because I hear you better when I see you better. It's why when y'all have Zoom calls in your company meetings, turn your cameras on if you are speaking, because I hear your words better if I see your mouth moving.
Okay, so I'm hearing a couple things here too, which is, okay, look, I have not coached the keynotes, right? And I haven't worked with the tech team at AWS, but I will say that if you are a speaker, regardless if you're at AWS or not, you as the speaker can advocate for yourself, right? And also recognizing there's different learners. Like I have a client who needs to be able to see the audience, because that's the only way she's able to really connect with them, because she can't hear very well. It's overwhelming for her to have the bright lights in her face. So you can tell the technical team and be very nice to them. Always treat your tech team with such respect. Bring them gum, bring them whatever, water, I don't care. But say, hey, can you bump the lights a little bit so I can see my audience? Advocate for yourself. That also is, and I'm curious, I want to hear from all of you from this about this, is like, how do you coach people to set up the rules of engagement? Because I think that's what we're also pointing to as well, Blaine, which is you cannot 3/4 of the way through your keynote ask your audience to do something or get them to interact if you haven't done it from the beginning, right? Because they don't understand the rules. So I'm just curious what each person has to say about that. So let's go Doris, and then Anna, and then Allison.
Well, one quick thing on the lighting thing, and I know it comes up every time, especially when you're on that big stage. In the absence of being able to actually change it to make it more comfortable for you, it goes back to the audience. So I always say, like, when you're at a big concert, you're with a friend, and the friend turns to you and says, "Oh my God, did you see that? The singer was looking right at me." And you know it's not true. You know it's not true, but it doesn't matter. They feel great. Your audience comes first. They feel great when they see you looking at them. So even if it's a black hole, move that eye contact, stay and connect, because you know they're there and you know they want to connect with you. So make them feel like they're the only one in that room. I know it stinks, but just audience first every time. If you go with that as your North Star, you're always going to make a better decision. And then in terms of kind of like, how do we set the rules of engagement? I always just kind of say, let your audience know how you want them to participate. Like, get everyone in the ballpark for this. If you want to ask a question, show of hands, how many of you have whatever? I always say, give them a little chance to participate. So help them understand how you want them to take part in this conversation, which is what it should be, a conversation.
Beautiful. Thank you. Anna, how about you?
I'm still thinking about Tamrah's comment about dancing with the audience. And I was like, literally, we could dance with the audience. And I can't let this go. But no, going back to that, I think as well is that you set things up for the audience, don't you, quite early on, about how you want them to behave. So it can be as simple as like in the energy that you give to your audience when you start speaking. If you're on a downer, if you're speaking on a sigh and just being like, "Oh, I've got a question for everyone," they're probably not going to answer the question or not going to feel that they can. So you give them permission to respond to you by the way you set things up. And a lot of it is to do with your energy. So yes, I think you can absolutely ask things, but you can also give your energy to the audience and they will respond to that as well. So I think it's a bit of the what you're saying, but also how you're saying it will get a response from the audience. And I think, you're right about the looking into the light. As long as it's kind of the same as when you're speaking online, isn't it? You can't really see and you can't really gauge the reaction, but you've got to kind of feel the energy that's going on and make everyone think they're special, which they are. Everyone is special. And so go with that energy of like, you're all amazing and I love being here. And I think that translates quite far. But also if you work with a coach will have your back in the room and will say things like, what's happening with your lighting, what's happening with your sound, and we'll give you a checklist of things to ask for as well. So working with a coach, I'm always going to promote it here.
Thank you for doing that, Anna. Yes, working with a coach. There are 6 of us here. There are 6. Yes. Okay, amazing. Allison, how about for you, my friend?
Okay, piggybacking off a few things. So I love when Doris says it's a conversation. So engaging with all aspects of the audience. People tend to gravitate to who's paying attention to them. So if I'm seeing the first 4 rows and they're looking at me and that's all I can see, a lot of people are just paying attention to them. I think we add inclusivity when we add everybody in the audience. So depending on how big your audience is, making sure that you're, and just like Doris said, if you're looking at this pod, those 17 people over there think you're looking at them. It's including them into the conversation, welcoming them in, and even adding cues like, right? And a head nod. I mean, that's engagement, right? It doesn't have to be raise your hand, stand up, dance. Of course, we love all that. But sometimes that's not really necessary. I also want to take note into what I've seen so much in keynotes and so much of in and what you guys do as well, is teleprompter engagement.
Oh, I think that's next month. That's next month.
That is its own conversation.
So, I mean, that is the depth of personalities. So we are going to have another speaking coaching, stream on that one. But if you are working with a teleprompter and you are doing a keynote and you are talking about some dense things, please work with a coach because it is a special skill.
Yep.
And that's a whole nother thing. But I would say don't treat a teleprompter engagement the same as you would when you're memorized and knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love that. I love that.
I would love to share a story on this.
Yes, please.
I was speaking to a large audience, and there's a point in my talk where I ask a rhetorical question, and then I was going to send them into an exercise. Well, I asked this question, and the question was a deep question. I was going deep. I said from the very beginning, listen, I'm not a surface talker, so we're about to dive deep here. And I get to this question, and I ask them, so what is it that gets in the way of you challenging your customer when you know that something is off? And it was rhetorical. I wasn't expecting anybody to answer, and someone shouted out answer. And I was like, in that moment, there's the engagement, not even expecting it. So I rolled with it. Yep. And everybody else started chiming in. And then I had them work together. So the exercise was to think about the question. I want you to think about this. And I asked the question, think about it. And then I was going to have them pair up and talk to the person beside them and share that intimate thing that gets in the way. And so even in that moment where you're not even expecting it, you never know how your audience, you could have it lined and played out, but this is where being agile with your audience, being present, and watching how the engagement unfolds, even when you plan something different, being able to pivot and leverage that engagement to bridge you into the engagement that you have planned. So that I just wanted to add that because it's something that threw me off in my mind. They couldn't tell, but I was like, oh, wow. Okay. Wasn't expecting that. All right, let's roll with it.
Well, and I love that you brought that up because that happens a lot. It happens a lot, and technical things can go wrong. In fact, almost every time I've given a keynote or some sort of a workshop, something has inevitably gone wrong. Either, and when I say wrong, I'm doing air quotes because I actually find things like that a gift because it's a gift, right? And so I have a friend who flew all the way from Colorado to India to give this 45-minute keynote. And she was nervous. And guess what happened? She gets on stage 5 minutes in, the whole presentation goes blank.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
right? So she's standing on stage, her teleprompter, her confidence monitor goes blank. Everything goes blank. She's standing in the dark for a hot second. They're able to bring the lights up, and she had to improvise the rest of it. And
that's why I speak in my zone of genius.
Yeah.
Talks that I can speak for 45 minutes about with no notes.
Yep. Yeah.
But that's where it helps to have an audience, doesn't it? It's so much easier to recover from something like that when there's people in the room that you can like look at and smile and cry or whatever it is you need to do. Whereas if that happens when you're on camera, you're like, oh, this is really awkward because you don't know how people are reacting. So kind of brilliant when there's an audience.
It is kind of brilliant. Like, yeah.
but I want to take this moment, and I almost want to loop in one of the questions we got on the side about connecting to younger audiences. How do you make this connection? And what you're describing really is that fundamental connection. It's almost like I wish we could put our presenters on stage and then just pull the cord out of their PowerPoint notes, blank the screen behind them and say, okay, now just tell me what you want to tell me. Don't worry about how you had planned to do it. Don't try to remember what came after slide 7. You are right now at the beginning. Talk to me, engage me. What is my problem, that you are trying to solve as a presenter, and just go there. I think there's so much to learn when we want to get that connection that we lose often in a corporate world because everything's been reviewed and manager approved and sanitized. And, we put it through our AI chat bot to smooth out all the paragraphs, and we lose the human.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think audiences, and from what I've heard in terms of research, they're really rejecting the over polished presenter. It's just, there's a trust issue there. So I think to that, it really is. And I know we use that word authentic, but really it is important to be yourself. It's important to let that kind of side out so that it feels more like we're at lunch and you're telling me about this really interesting, innovative idea versus trying to be a perfect polished presenter, because it doesn't translate the same. And it's boring a little bit.
To the question, Doris, I think what you're hitting on is super important when you're speaking to younger audiences. And I speak to younger audiences all the time. I work with teens, 13 to 18 years old, college students. And what I'll tell you, I do shift a little bit when I'm talking to those younger ages, because you got to think about what it is that they need. We're so used to talking to adults, and we're adults, so we understand adults. But when you're talking to younger people, you've got to understand where they are and the questions and concerns of the heart that they have. And you've got to be able to speak to those. Whenever I go out and I speak to our tech teams at AWS, oftentimes we have our interns, our college students in the room. I always speak directly to them. And I let them know that just because you're in an audience full of adults doesn't mean your voice doesn't matter.
Right.
Your voice matters. As a matter of fact, it matters even more because you bring a unique perspective. So the second thing is noticing what it is that they need. What are the conversations in their head that they're having as young people, addressing them, validating them, and letting them know that you're someone who sees them. Young people, once they trust you, you're golden. But if you haven't established trust with young people, you're just a talking head.
Well, and what is that thing that everyone said? There's the power. That's the power over you, the power with you, the power to give you. And I feel like with 18, the young adults, I feel like if you meet them where they're at and you understand where they're coming from and you give them power within instead of giving power over, I feel like there's a trust, Tamrah, that you're talking about that is undeniable because they see someone seeing them. And it's just, and it's not so much like I have power over you because I'm older than you and I know, right? It's not having power over, it's giving power within that age group. It's amazing.
Yeah, my conversation with them is you have all the answers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to ask you some powerful questions because you have all the answers.
Well, I think what you're pointing to as well with all audiences, which I see not a lot of people do the pre-work, right? Which is the curiosity piece, which is like, who is this unique audience? Not every audience should be treated the same. And so asking the questions, what do they know already? What are they curious about? And that's what you're pointing to. And I don't, regardless if it's a young audience or an older audience or an audience that you think everyone's unique. And that's the first thing you should be asking yourself is, who are these people and how am I going to give them the best experience possible? So I really appreciated that question. And I love, it's the trust piece. And it's also you as the presenter trusting yourself. Like you are the expert. Trust it. If everything failed, you'd still be able to carry on that conversation. But the second you start to doubt because of all of the things that you needed to go through or the perfection that you think needed to be presented, it's going to be you're going to make it very, very difficult on yourself.
But also,
that
I think
that's really cool. Go ahead. Yes.
No, I was just going to say as well, it's an interesting thing about knowing your audience, but also as you know, you could be somebody that gets given a script and you get wheeled out at every event to do the same script, right? It happens.
Yep.
But I think it's really important when whatever happens is we can't be a tape recorder. That's me showing my age and pressing play and doing the same script. What would it be now, everyone? You know, we're not on repeat. So no matter, even if you are saying the same thing over and over again, you've got to listen to the audience and say it. You know, you're saying the same words, but it's going to be a totally different experience because your audience is never the same, and you're never the same in that moment either. So it's about sort of bringing who you are in that moment and the new audience to everything you do, I think.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I have a baseline presentation, but I tailor it for every audience. I never do the same presentation twice, ever. Even if all the slides are the same. I always factor in who I'm talking to, who's the audience, and what is the outcome that I want to create for that audience. And then I take my baseline and I tweak it to make sure that I'm hitting the mark with that audience.
I love that. I like to think of it as like Lego blocks, right? You've got all your different Lego blocks and you can kind of take out one Lego block and replace it with another Lego block depending on who your audience is, but you've always got the same framework.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Gorgeous. Okay. So any other last thoughts or ideas, something that popped into your head where you were like, this audience that we're speaking to right now on LinkedIn and YouTube, that they need to hear about the next time they I always like to say to give a technical talk?
I need to address what Tomas asked in the chat.
Great.
Because Tomas is talking about accessibility.
Thank you, Tomas, for that question. Yeah.
And the idea of, especially whether you got hard of hearing participants, which by the way, could be temporary. A lot of these conferences have parties at night and people show up to a session the next day and they can't hear what they could hear the day before. So this has nothing to do with a disability. It is simply a state of being. A good conference has event staff that has accounted for this. And, you know, whether it's additional hearing aids and that, but ignore that. That's nothing that you as a speaker often can control. What I want you to focus on as a presenter is not to worry so much about the abilities of your audience, but instead think about it as a language issue and understand, especially in tech, many people in your audience are not the same native language speaker that you are when you present. Wherever you are in the world, someone is not matching your native language. So how do we deal with a gap in language understanding? It's slowing down the pace and increasing your articulation. And this is a hard skill. This is something that you can train and you can get better at. And there are tricks. We got coaches here on the screen that know the tricks. It certainly can be taught, and anybody can get better in those clear articulation points that allow those people that are having accessibility problems to get over that element.
Beautiful.
I love that, Blaine. Yeah, I love that. And you were doing it. You were actually just modeling it in the way that you were articulating and speaking. My mentor said, some things are taught and some things are caught. When you see really great speakers, pay attention to what they're doing because they're integrating these strategies all throughout their talk. And if you don't pay attention, you might miss it. Because what I've learned is that speakers that are really seasoned, like the Les Browns of the world, they know this stuff and it's in their blood. And they forget to teach you these things. So you got to really pay attention and you got to watch, because he's beyond teaching that. Right now, I've learned from him, he's teaching for passion and making sure that you come across with a concise and passionate delivery with certainty. But the other technical things, it's already in his blood. So you've got to really watch when you see great speakers and look at what they do. And Blaine just demonstrated for you how you do that. Slowing down, articulating, putting a pause in there, because sometimes people need to absorb what you just said.
I love how you just intentionally
Pause at the end.
Tamrah.
That was a very good ending there, Tamrah.
Mic drop. Amazing. Okay, well, what I would love to do is I want to go around the room, and I would love for everyone to give one final tip or insight that would be helpful for our audience. One more tip or insight that would be helpful for our audience. And we'll start with Doris.
Well, I think we've shared a lot of really good ones today. The audience first, the delivery advice there, time and tempo, weave these stories through to connect with your audience. I'm always going to preach, write a better open. It's just in my blood. I've written a million cold opens, some of them good, some of them bad, some of them right in between. But what I say is every bad open, every good open starts with a bad open. So just start, put it on paper, work on it, iterate it, get feedback, because to be honest, that first impression, and especially in this attention economy, those first 30 seconds are so important. So, and if you're not the one, if you're giving a group presentation, you're not the one writing the open, have this conversation with the person who is, please, because you all get credit for this presentation. And if you lose the room in those first few minutes, it is very hard to dig yourself out of it. So please, and my final comment, what I always say is, people in your audience are giving you their most valuable thing, which is their time. So please take that as a gift and give back, which means give a really good presentation, a compelling presentation that connects and really allows you to share your ideas with clarity and with confidence.
Thank you. Boom. I love it. Thank you. Anna, how about for you, my friend?
Well, there's a lot of stuff you have to do, isn't there? And we could overthink saying yes to an event because we go, gosh, the checklist is mighty. So I'd say don't overthink saying yes, say yes. And for me, the most important thing is pleasure. Have joy when you do it. And I think that's the kind of biggest thing for me is just joy and pleasure.
Love it.
There we go.
Thank you, Allison.
Okay, one of my takeaways, and I don't know if you've covered this already, so I'm sorry if you have, is remembering that gestures, body language, micro cues are 50% of our messaging. And remember, it adds value, opinion, and worth under our words and our meaning. And that is everything when we're giving a presentation. So really make sure, video yourself and watch yourself on mute and see what your body language and your micro cues are. Does it look like you're really excited to be here when you say I'm excited to be here? Or does it look like you want to die, right? So remember, this is important. You can't die. If your soul is alive, your body language should match it.
Yes, I love it. Thank you. Tamrah, how about for you?
First, I just want to say, I just love hearing Allison talk.
Yes.
Girl, you need to be on stages for real. I need to be coaching you out there on these big stages. Big. I'll leave you with three things. First, the vessel. And these are the three areas that I cover in my Technically Speaking course. So I'll start with vessel. Make sure that you've done the inner work so that when you step on that stage, you can step on that stage with transparency and not worrying about your past and all the other things that people might think about you, that you've done your work. Whatever trauma you've experienced in your life, handle it. Talk to a therapist, because when you step on the stage, you are the first book that people are reading and they can see all of it. You can't hide it by hiding behind a mask. All of those red flags will start popping up during your talk when you think nobody sees it. So number one, make sure that you clear your vessel so you can be an open space to deliver the divine messages that only you can deliver. The second is vision. What is your vision for yourself as a speaker? How do you want to show up? When I ask people about you, what do you want them to say the kind of speaker you are? Put some attention there. And not only vision for yourself, vision for your audience. What is your vision for your audience? What do you want them to walk away with? What is the outcome that you want to create for your audience? And then lastly, your voice. If you don't love your voice, your audience is not going to love your voice. Just because you speak in a high-pitched tone all the time doesn't mean you have to stay there. Your voice can go as low as you want it to go, and it can go as high as you want it to go. So use all aspects and dimensions of your voice. Vessel, vision, voice. And remember, wherever your feet take you, especially on those stages, that is exactly where you are supposed to be.
Beautiful. Thank you. All right, Blaine.
Oh, yeah, I get to follow that sort of sermon. Okay.
You got this.
So staying on a semi-religious theme, you, the speaker, get to be Santa Claus. It's the most important thing you can think of, is that as you are, there's a reason that you're on stage, and that is you are here to help your audience achieve a thing. Whether that's a better process, whether that's using a product they've never heard of before, whether that's having good security so they don't get damaged, whatever is the outcome, you are providing that for them. And that's really cool. So when you get to your reveals, when you get to the reason you're there, enjoy the fact that you get to be Santa Claus. And that's the most joyous thing anyone can have. And it goes along with what Anna was saying. It's where we find that joy in our presentation, is realizing that at the end of the day, we made our audience's lives better because they invested time with us.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you all so much. This has been fantastic. I'm going to add one more thing before we say goodbye, which is do not forget to have fun. Like, you can smile from stage. I cannot tell you how many people would come to reInvent and they'd come into that room for me to coach them. And I'd be like, how do you feel about being at reInvent? I am so excited. Really? Because you don't sound like it. So it's okay to show your passion and your enthusiasm, because it's contagious when you do. So give yourself that permission. These tips and insights that you have received today are gold. I hope that you've saved this video. We streamed here on LinkedIn. We've streamed live also on YouTube, so you know where to find it again if you need to go back. Make sure you follow each one of these beautiful human beings on LinkedIn, because I know that they're going to continue to do great things. I know we are all going to continue to do great things moving forward. And so thank you all so much. I'm going to play my outro music one more time, because everyone needs some good outro music. So here we go. Are you ready? And